My name is Lynn Kinney, and I'd like to congratulate you on the purchase of your new light and sound generator. And before we get into the instructional part of hooking everything up and doing the programming, let me tell you what you should have received with your unit. You should have received an instruction manual. It should be yellow covered for the portable, purple for the non-portable. Should have a keyboard, either a portable or non-portable unit, the difference being built-in screen, touch buttons on the front of the portable along with a carrying handle. You also should have received a tube holder, 2 fans, unattached, you will have to attach these, a light tube, a gooseneck, which is adjustable, and a light stand. That covers everything that should have been in your box except one thing. The instructional tape you're watching. You should have gotten one of those. Now if you're watching this without one, call me. Call the office. Okay, let's get started. Now, we're going to hook everything up. Everything plugs into one place of its own. 4 things to hook up, so you can't make a mistake. Nothing to worry about. Number 1, if you choose to use an outboard monitor, the first thing you want to do is hook it into the port named video. It'll simply plug in very easily, just like this. The next thing is keyboard. Marked keyboard with a little arrow to it. Simply plug it in, just like that. Next, your AC power plugs in right here. That's your AC power. And the item marked lamp is for your tube holder, your light tube holder. Line up the pins, gently screw it down, and there it is. All 4 things hooked up. Your lamp holder goes here, or tube holder, your AC power, your keyboard, and your video monitor, if you choose to use an outboard monitor. Very simple, easy to do. Right here is your fuse holder. Simply push in and remove for easy replacement of a fuse should you need to do so. Your floppy disk goes right here should you need it for backup or additional programming needs. And your off and on switch right here. The cooling fan, 2 of these, which is detailed in the instruction section of your manual. And now that we have everything connected and hooked up, your next step would be to turn the unit on. On the back of the unit, you'll find the on-off switch. Just simply push it and allow the unit to boot up, which will take about 20 to 30 seconds. And while it's booting up, we're going to talk about the keys here. Your up, down, enter, and escape are the same things on the keyboard. Your up and down be your up and down arrows right here. Your enter will be the big enter button here on your keyboard. And your escape, ESC, will be in the top left of the keyboard right here. Now that your equipment is fully booted up, this is what the main menu will look like. The blue bar will highlight on Run Program. As you notice on the screen, it says use the cursor arrow keys to make a selection and press enter. These are the little keys that we showed you that correspond to the up and down on the portable. The arrow keys to go down or up to make a selection. So what we're going to do is start at the top and just go right down through what each of the functions are. Highlight manual control with the blue bar and push the big enter key. This screen will appear. This will allow you to put a frequency in. For example, in this test we have 2128, and we can cursor down and highlight each portion. If we wanted to put a pulse, say of 4, and go down and change the time to 1 minute, simply push a 1 on the key and you've highlighted. Now to make the program run, you would simply push enter. And this is the running program screen. It shows you that you're running in the current step parameters, frequency 2128. You're pulsing it 4 times a second, and the total time that it's going to run is going to be 1 minute. Now, when it finishes, it'll simply end and take you back to this same screen. You can use the escape key to get out or abort. If you push escape, it'll take you back to the main menu. We simply go down to and highlight the edit program with the blue bar, push the big enter key, and this is the screen that you will see. This is the same screen that is shown in your manual. If you look to the right, it says Key Help, and it gives you the F keys, which are located on the same row as your escape key on the top left portion of your keyboard. F2 is to save a program once you've written it, F3 to open a program, F4 to clear information that you've put in or a complete program, F8 to delete, F10 to run the program when you're in the program development environment here. The Enter key allows you to edit a selected step, Insert to insert new information, and the Delete if you want to delete a portion of that. So let's just say that we're going to write a program. The first thing we're going to do to write a program would be push the Insert key. Once you push the Insert key, you get the same screen that we used on the first step to enter a frequency and a series of steps in. If we wanted to put frequency 2127, we'd simply type that in, hit the down arrow key one time, and highlight, and in the first step of the program it automatically puts it in there for you. On the rest of the steps, as you'll see, you'll have to do it. Let's just say that we're going to pulse this at 4, so we've highlighted the pulse frequency, and now we'll go down to the time and put it in for 1 minute. Push enter, and there's step 1. Our step 1 is a start and end frequency of 2127, pulsed 4 times a second for a step time duration of 1 minute. Now, to get to the next function of this, you simply arrow down 1, give a new highlight area, push the Insert key, and we get the same screen. Let's say that we're going to write a different frequency of 1550, and then we'd highlight the stop frequency of 1550. We go down and put a 0 in the pulse because we don't want to pulse it this time for whatever reason, but we do want to sweep it. So we'll put a 2. Our standard pulse rate is 4, and our standard sweep rate is 2. We're going to change the time to 1 minute and 30 seconds and push enter. We now have 2 steps. Our first step is pulsing a frequency. Our second step is sweeping a frequency. And if this were all the steps I would do, I would simply want to save this program, and you would push the F2 key on the top left of your keyboard, just to the right of the escape key, the ESC key. When you push F2, you get a Save Program screen. And we're just going to call this one Save 1, S-A-V-E 1, and push Enter. The program is successfully saved. Press any key to continue. Now, when you press a key to continue, watch the top where it says Program File Name. When I push any key, it puts that into the save memory, and this tells us this is the program we're looking at. We can erase it, we can escape out. These are things that you'll get into in advanced programming. Now, if we escape using the ESC back to the main menu, we can go down and highlight Run Program. Once you've selected it and push Enter, it'll give you the main program listing. And through this, using your down key, you can highlight any of the programs in here to run, no matter what it is. Or you can simply hold it down to get down to a certain area. If you wanted to run, let's say sarcoma, which is in the S's, hold it down until you get to the S's, select sarcoma, and push Enter, and you're now running that program. Push the Escape key. If you want to run something different, you'll get the main program menu back, and you can make a new selection. Keep in mind, however, that in the Run Program mode, you can only select and run one program at a time. Now we get into the good part. Utility function. This selection would allow you to back up your programming, make backup disks to swap with friends, or if the company sends you a disk You can simply use the restore mode in the utilities to download that information. And last but not least is the utilities function of repeat timed. Repeat time function allows you to go in and select 2 or 3 programs and run them in order. Highlight utility with the blue bar, push enter 1 time. You're automatically in repeat timed. Push enter. It gives you the same set of programs. Now, there's one additional thing that you have to do to what we call tag programs. Using the large space bar at the center of the keyboard on the bottom, you can use your arrow keys to select a program, push your space bar 1 time, and it'll put a little tag or a little asterisk there. If that's not the program you wish to tag, then push your space bar again and it'll simply remove. But we're going to run Wednesday PM along with all bugs. So we go down till we find all bugs, highlight it, tag it, and then we go down to sarcoma, let's just say. And we get into sarcoma, PQRS. Takes a minute to get there and a little bit to get used to. There's sarcoma. Tag it, and then you push enter. This is the screen that you will get. It tells you the total steps, how many frequencies are going to be run, the whole duration that if you made no modifications to it would be the total time, which is 104 minutes. Since our maximum run time is always 90 minutes or less, we're going to make some changes here. It says, please enter the number of repetitions. This will always be 1 or 2. And unless you're instructed to change to 2 times, leave it at 1. Simply arrow down to your time and enter 90 for 90 minutes and push enter. And now this program all these programs will run for 90 minutes total time, and it'll go through all 3. Now, if you look at your program file name, it says sarcoma. Even though you've tagged an AM or PM program, an all bugs, and sarcoma, it keeps in the program file name the last one that you tagged, even though it will cycle through all 3 programs. When the program ends, it will return you back to your repeating programs menu. You can push escape again to go back into the utilities function or escape out and turn the equipment off. But for training purposes here, we're going to go back into utility and tell you what the rest of these functions are. Backup, for example. You highlight backup. This is to back up programs, to swap or make you a file listing just to keep on hand. When you highlight backup, push enter, and it'll give you a backup program. You simply go down and tag, highlight and tag the programs you wish, and prior to doing this, you will have to put a floppy disk into the floppy disk drive in the back of the unit. Otherwise, if you don't, when you push enter, this is the screen that you will get. Disk not ready. Please make sure there is a disk in drive A. And you simply, at that point, can insert a blank disk in there to write your programs to. Same thing in restore. Highlight restore programs. Let's say that you had a backup disk from a friend who gave you 5 programs, and you could go highlight restore, push enter. It's going to ask you, are you sure you want to overwrite the programs? And you simply push Y for yes. And it'll tell you in our demonstration here that there isn't a disk in there. However, if there were, it would give you the program listing, and you could highlight those, tag those by highlighting them with the blue bar and pushing the space bar to tag them. And then push enter, and it'll simply enter them into the program for you. And that's the utilities function for you. Go to exit, push enter, it'll take you back to the main menu. You can either go to shutdown to reach this screen, or if you were in a program, you can push escape until you get to the same, now safe to turn off the unit, and then simply turn the unit off and you're through for the day. Now that you've got the basics of how to write programs and program selection, if you need any additional help, please contact your dealer or contact our office listed in your instruction manual. Again, thank you for the purchase of your light and sound generator. Alright, now that you've seen the basic operation of your light and sound generator, we're going to show you from scratch how to set up the light stand and tube holder with the two fans and the light tube. The first thing is your light stand. Simply, gently insert your fingers in between the legs to pop them out. Don't just try to rake it out because this is plastic here and it will break. So simply pop it out, set it down. I like to extend mine up just a little bit so it makes it easier for working with the tube. This is your light stand. The second thing that you're going to need is your gooseneck. You'll simply insert on the top of the light stand here, roll the wing nuts, tighten them down on the bottom right here. And then you can adjust this just to where you want it. The next thing you're going to need is your tube holder. That would be this little guy. No fans on it or tube in it at this time. Simply insert into the top of the gooseneck and tighten it down. Light stand, gooseneck, tube holder. The next thing you're going to want to do is insert your light tube. Remove the two lug nuts that are on each end. It'll look just like this. Once you have those removed, simply come around to the front of your light tube and insert through the retaining springs the light tube. Now, once you have the light tube in, you have the clip for the fan and your O-ring that has to go onto the end of the light tube here, and lock it down with a little lug nut, like this. Same thing on the other end. You'll simply run it out, put your O-ring on there, and tighten her down. I like to center up my tube right in the center. It doesn't hurt to handle the tube. It's not a problem. Fingerprints will not hurt. Now, you have two fans. One for each side. They are quick disconnect and only will plug in one way. Clip them on, insert. Doesn't have to be extremely tight, just snug. And there you have the assembly of your new light tube. Light tube holder, two fans, gooseneck, and your light stand, which is totally adjustable and air cushioned.